ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా,
Swami would do Narayan Seva whenever he was in Kodaikanal. And typically Narayan Seva, everywhere wherever Narayan Seva takes place, we would invariably distribute, even I'm sure when you do Narayan Seva in Dharmakshetra, you would distribute food. On some occasions distribute clothes. So all the needy people or the poor people would get a sari or a dhoti or whatever, some clothes and food. In Kodaikanal, it would be, being a cold place, being a hill station, it would be a sari or a dhoti for the ladies or the gents and a blanket. So this was Ishwaramma day and Narayan Seva was scheduled for that day. So typically there we have a bhajan hall like this. So in the bhajan hall, all the food would be kept, all the clothes would be kept. From the bhajan hall, the distribution would take place. So all the food would be, passed out by the students and the elders and others and then given to the... So on one side would all be the devotees for whom the same food is distributed. They are very happy to receive it as prasadam. And in another part of the compound, the so-called Narayanas would be seated, to whom the food would be given and the clothes would be given. So here was this distribution going on, 2 hours, 3 hours, the distribution was going on. The distribution was almost over. And Swami walked into the bhajan hall. So Swami was there, behind him a couple of elders were there. Swami he'd been walking up and down almost the whole morning, supervising the Narayan Seva, distributing clothes, standing, seeing to it, seeing the devotees enjoying the prasadam, giving darshan to them. So he'd walked around quite a bit. So there was that tired look on Swami's face, crumpled clothes. Swami was slightly sweaty. But when he walked into the bhajan hall, he came and he saw a pile of blankets there. There was some food. He spoke to the Sevadal people, very lovingly inquired from them whether they had their prasadam, whether they had food prasadam. They said, no, Swami, we finished distribution. Yes, Swami, we just finished distribution. So he instructed them, all of you must first have prasadam, have your food, then do the cleaning. And came forward, he saw the blankets. So he turned and asked, blankets were not distributed. So he looked around in general and asked. So 2-3 of us, including some of the elders, I said, Swami, blankets are distributed. One of the elders said, Swami, blankets were distributed. So he turned to the gentleman behind him. Okay, let me take his name, Mr. Srinivasan, who just passed away last month. Turned to Mr. Srinivasan and asked him, he said, Swami, blankets were distributed. Everybody got? Yes, Swami, everybody got. Go and see. Swami told him. So this gentleman went out. 2 minutes over, 3 minutes over, 5 minutes over. He's not yet come back. So Swami was restless. He was moving around talking, but his eyes kept going on to that pile of blankets there. Then finally he turned and spotted me. He said, near the gate were these blankets given. Poi chudu, near the gate. Chalo. So as I was running out of the bhajan hall, there's a flight of steps leading up to the bhajan hall. So as I was running out of the bhajan hall, Mr. Srinivasan was coming up the steps. So I said, sir, Swami is asking whether it is given. Yes, I checked up. No, I said, sir, outside the gate was it given? He said, yes, I checked up, everywhere it was given. I said, no, sir, Swami is just asking. So when he said everywhere it was given, I also stopped and he was coming up, so I also turned. I thought behind him, I'll follow. Then he said, no, Swami is saying specifically outside the gate, let's go and check. So both of us went. We climbed down the steps, climbed down that entire slope of Sai Shruti, went to the gate. We walked out of the gate, there was a watchman there was some Sevadal on duty. We asked them, they said, yes, people came here, they gave, whoever was sitting here also was given. Because sometimes what happens is, people who come late get seated outside the gate, they're not allowed to come inside. Or if the crowd is overflowing, there are some people who are outside the gate. So maybe people who are inside were given the clothes and the blankets, the people outside were not given the blankets. So we asked quite a few people. We saw some old people with sticks, but they seemed to have blankets in their hand. So we spent a good 5 minutes finding out, and finally we walked back. By the time we reached the bhajan hall, Swami had left the bhajan hall. The bhajan hall is connected to Swami's residence internally, just like the arrangement here, where you can walk in and, you go to the offices and the stage. So that there also there's internal connection between the bhajan hall and this thing. So Swami had walked from the bhajan hall into his residence. Meanwhile, what had happened was, students had all run ahead in anticipation of Swami, washed their hands and feet because they were all doing Narayan Seva, dirty hands, dirty feet. So they had washed their hands and feet and then gone and sat around Swami's chair. So there was this cluster of students around Swami's chair. Now Swami walked in clearly, he had walked for 2-3 hours. So as he sat on the chair, he said, "I'm thirsty." In Telugu he said, after so many years my Telugu is still, I know a little bit of Telugu, but it's not so good for me to try and say that in Telugu. So he said, "I'm thirsty." So one of the students, and later he said, I was hesitating whether I should offer water to Swami. But when Swami said, "I am thirsty," promptly he picked up the glass of water which was kept on the stool next to Swami's chair and offered it to Swami. And as that glass of water came up, and Swami saw that glass of water, Swami brushed him aside like this. "Not this," he said. Swami was looking tired. He had walked around for 2-3 hours. Anyone who's seen Swami for long will know that a glass of water is kept next to Swami's stool. He takes water at regular intervals. And here for 2-3 hours he's been walking around. The icing on the cake is, while sitting he said, "I'm thirsty." He said it very softly, not too many people would have heard. But at least the boys who were sitting there swear that he said, "I'm thirsty." So this boy naturally felt that, his attempt at giving water was rejected. So he was crestfallen. And Swami was sitting silently. When we entered, Mr. Srinivasan and I was trailing behind him, when we entered the room, we saw that Swami sitting silently with that far away look. So neither of us attempted to say anything. I just sat down. At the first available blank spot, I sat down. Mr. Srinivasan crossed over and on the chairs he would normally sit. So he found a place. Swami saw him, saw both of us coming in. I sat down. In fact, he couldn't have gone unnoticed because he crossed over. But Swami didn't say anything. He also kept quiet. Swami had that lost, faraway look in his eyes. He got up and then went into the kitchen. So Mr. Srinivasan got up. You could make out that he was in two minds, because there was that lost, faraway look. In fact, what I was thinking, and a couple of others, including him later, when we compared notes, we were all thinking something seems to have gone wrong somewhere. Because Swami's got that, faraway look, unhappy look, and anything can go wrong. Maybe the Narayan Seva distribution didn't go on properly. Maybe somebody made some kind of a mistake. Swami is very, very particular about ladies and gents. So when there is this running around, the distribution going on, boys are running, especially if his boys, any kind of mingling between ladies and guests, anybody who's been in the organization for even a few years would know that and would have learnt that. So any kind of intermingling, he's touchy about. If it's his students, or he's even more touchy. Something like that must have happened. Somebody would have, spoken to some lady, or some lady would have asked, "Nothing has been given there, please go there and give." And Swami would have seen that. Our shallow minds started thinking on these lines. Or maybe somebody spilt some food. "Swami, this is prasadam, you can't spill it." Worse, if you spill it onto somebody's clothes. So something could have happened. Now what has happened? How would we know what has happened? So we were all thinking that something has gone wrong. Swami walked in. So Mr. Srinivasan got up and he followed Swami. He walked 2 steps and he turns to me and says, calls, "Come, come." I had no choice but to follow. I didn't want to follow. I had no choice but to follow. I followed. We walked into the kitchen. What Swami had done was he had walked through the kitchen. There's a devotee of Swami whom many of you might know or would have heard about. A lady by name Mrs. Ratanlal. who had the opportunity to serve Swami for many, many years. She also passed away this March. So she was sitting there in the kitchen, and very unlike Swami, Swami walked past without even looking at her. So as we walked in, she asked me, what happened? Kya hua? I said, I don't know. And she said, Swami walked like that, seems to be upset at something. What happened? I said, I have no clue. And she seized on me. She said, no, you guys, your boys would have done something, you're trying to hide. I said, Auntie, I have no clue what has happened. We want to know what has happened, that's why we have also come inside. Because sometimes Swami would, in a private conversation, he would let out some steam or he would say something. Now, all we could see, we didn't have the guts to go out. Actually, what had happened was Swami had gone through the kitchen, and there was something like an outer kitchen, a covered place where some more utensils would be kept and some things would be stored and things like that. So Swami had come, and the outer kitchen had naturally a door which would lead you completely outside. So that door was open, and Swami was literally standing in the doorway. So the door was blocked. You couldn't see what was happening there because Swami's frame was in the door. So all you could see was Swami's back. Obviously Swami was talking to somebody, but you couldn't see who Swami was talking to, who was there on that side. We had no clue. We were wondering what was happening. So Swami spoke to whoever he was speaking for a couple of minutes, and then turned and came back. So we were standing. So there was Ratnalal Aunty sitting there, a little away from him on one wall. Mr. Srinivasan was standing on this wall. I was standing. 3 decorative pieces in the kitchen. Swami walked past us. He didn't even look. You obviously would have seen, but didn't even look. The same faraway look in his eyes. So now we concluded that something has really gone wrong. There's something somebody has done unknowingly, unwittingly, which has upset him. He walked out and went back into his chair. So we followed. Now we can't stay here with Swami in an upset mood. We don't want to do anything which will upset him more or which will provoke him. So both of us walked out and we quietly went and sat. After about 3, 4 or maybe 5 minutes, we heard the sound of a vehicle, which turned out to be Swami's car, coming to the portico. And then we found the gentleman who would drive Swami. I think it would be wrong to call him Swami's driver. A gentleman by name Padmanabhan, who had the opportunity to drive Swami's car. So Padmanabhan comes to the front door, pokes his head inside. Swami sees him and he disappears. Just like telling Swami, I'm here. He doesn't open his mouth, just shows his head, and Swami sees him and he goes out. And then Swami gets up and Swami goes to the door. As he goes to the door, he looks back and then calls a couple of these elders, Mr. Srinivasan and somebody else, and calls them, kind of follow me. So they also troop out. Everybody is wondering what's happening. Nobody has any clue. It so turned out that Swami sat in the car and went. These people also sat in the car. So we were wondering what has happened, but anyway, in one way we were happy that Swami has gone out. Because now Swami is in the car with 2 elders, which means whatever has gone wrong, at least he will share it with them. It will come out, we'll know what's wrong, we can make amends for that. So there was this white jeep. By then the security system had started. So there was this white jeep in front and Swami's car behind. So white jeep had a couple of people who would act as so-called security. I'm saying so-called security because it sounds a little bit of an anachronism to think that God needs security. But then there was this white jeep and Swami's car, and the 2 vehicles went. After the 2 vehicles went, everybody continued to be seated where they are. Can you imagine a group of 25 or 30 youngsters, school and college students, sitting silently in a room where there is nobody around to mind them, nobody to tell them anything, but pin drop silence even when Swami is not there? So you can guess the mood that was prevalent in that room. I also went and sat. Whoever was there just sat. Because we didn't know what to do. Nobody was looking at each other. Nobody. Then finally I got up and one of the other elders also got up and asked, boys, anything happened today? Did you do this? Did you do that? Did somebody spill some food? Did somebody venture unknowingly on the lady's side? Did somebody talk to somebody? Did Swami find you doing something wrong? Did Swami scold you? We asked all kinds of questions that we could think of. Because in our shallow minds, it was like somebody's done something which he shouldn't have done, and therefore Swami is upset. We asked all kinds of questions, but we only got blank answers. So we sat down. Normally, Swami would very often go for a drive in Kodaikanal, and that could be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Today it's 45 minutes, it's 1 hour, close to 1 hour, and Swami has not come back. Finally, close to 1 hour, around 50-55 minutes, and we heard the sound of these vehicles come back. This was one kind of a relief. Vehicle came back, Swami's car came back. Swami's car would drive up all the way to the portico, literally in front of the front door. Now, on occasions like this, the students would rush to open Swami's door. It's a chance. You open Swami's door, you're doing something for Swami, you get to look at Swami, chances are Swami will look at you. So whoever was close will go, and whoever reaches there first will open Swami's car door. Then nobody ventured. Nobody got up from where they were seated. Suddenly I realized that nobody is there to open Swami's door. There's no Sevadal also, because the Sevadal they were all busy with the Narayan Seva, so they are busy cleaning. Because they have to clean the bhajan hall has to be ready for the evening bhajan. So everybody is out there cleaning the bhajan hall or cleaning the area where the devotees, so not even a Sevadal is standing at the front door. So very reluctantly I got up, not because I wanted to have the pleasure of opening Swami's car door, but more as a sense of duty I went. I didn't have a choice, I went. And I reached just in time. It's like I went and stood there and Swami's car stopped, and I reached forward and pulled the car door open. So here was Swami getting down from the car. So he saw the car door open, and as he is getting down, he is looking up at me and giving me one of the most beautiful smiles that I have received from him directly in my life. This was the same Swami who had 1 hour back a very faraway look in his eyes, and we all thought that one of us present there has committed some kind of unpardonable sin. There was gloom everywhere. He was not talking to anyone. And here he was giving one of the most beautiful smiles. After having lived with Swami for so many years, I had still not learnt. They say the face is the index of the mind. So seeing that smile, I should have smiled back. But seeing that smile, I was so wonderstruck that I had a stupefied look on my face. That is what the other people who were inside the car were telling me later. Why did you have that stupefied look on your face? I said, I was stunned with that smile. And therefore I had that stupefied look on my face. Swami reacted to that. As he got down from the car and he walked past, he gave me a pat on my cheek and went. You stupid fellow. He gave me a pat on my cheek and went inside. He went inside and sat. No word was being exchanged. Because the boys here have not seen that smile also. Finally, after 2-3 minutes of silence, as Swami sat down, he said in Telugu, "Ippude na daham tirindi." Now my thirst is quenched. And everybody wondered what it is. So everybody was looking around wondering what it is. So Swami saw that look on everybody's face. So Swami told Mr. Srinivasan, Cheppu, tell boys what had happened. To cut a long story short, what Swami had done was, seeing that pile of blankets, he had felt that these blankets were not distributed. So when he asked us to verify, we went and told him, no Swami, blankets were distributed to whoever was there. So Swami had walked up out of the kitchen, opened the kitchen door, told whoever was there to call Padmanabhan. Padmanabhan came, that's why Swami was standing there for a few minutes. Padmanabhan came. Swami instructed Padmanabhan, take all those blankets which are there in the bhajan hall, load them up in the jeep, make the jeep ready, bring the car and come. What Swami had done was, taken all those blankets, driven around Kodaikanal, all the lanes, by-lanes, nooks and corners of Kodaikanal. And Padmanabhan tells me, in my life I've made so many trips to Kodaikanal, I've taken Swami for a drive so many places, but there are streets and routes which I don't know. But Swami said, go like this, go here, go left from here, go right from here. And then Swami himself completed the story. And he said, look, Kodaikanal is a cold place. It's a hilly place. There's no mode of transport there except that you have to walk. Any hill station, you need to walk. The people who are really old, the people who are really infirm, the people who really need, who are poor, would have found it difficult to come here. And they wouldn't have got the blankets. So what I did was, I went round, found those people and gave them blankets. So as he was going round and round, whenever you would see an old person, whenever you would see a poor person, he would stop the car and then say, give him a blanket. So somebody would get down from the jeep, give a blanket, and then it would continue. This process continued. Swami went round and round and round to every nook and corner, till Swami had to be assured that the blankets were over. In fact, Swami went to the extent of asking, are there any more blankets lying there? No, Swami, we've picked up every single blanket, now everything is over. Then reluctantly said, okay, then let's go back. So here was Swami giving a new meaning to service. All of us would be very happy to serve, to donate to whoever comes to our doorstep. Whoever has come, depending on my capacity, I will give. But here was Swami, who was telling us it's not enough to give whoever has come. If the really needy, the really poor have not come, I will go out in search of them. I will go out, I will seek them and give them. So here was Swami, who's teaching. Once again, nothing is wrong, nothing has gone wrong. I'm upset not because you've done something, not because you've done something stupid. You keep doing it all the time. I'm upset because the purpose of my Narayan Seva was to give blankets to poor and needy people. So if that purpose has not been achieved, I need to find a way of ensuring that that purpose is achieved. Since none of you are capable of finding a way, I'll find a way. And now that I have found a way, now that I have distributed all the blankets, now my thirst is quenched. So my real thirst is for the people. My real thirst is for the needy, for the downtrodden. My real thirst is for humanity at large, not me, my family, my people, my and mine. And he showed this all the way to the end of his life.
My